So what's up? How you doing today? We are going to take a look at China Doll, the acoustic approach, mostly that version from Reckoning, and we're going to look at Jerry and Bob's parts. And with some of these kind of part breakdown videos, I'll do just that. Other times, we'll look at some improv approaches, and if that's something you're looking for, you're in luck, we're going to do a little bit of that as well, but we'll save that for the end. We'll get the parts kind of down. First, get the core of it. So let's give a listen to both parts for the intro, and we'll actually start with Jerry's because he's kind of laying it down a little more simple because he's focused on singing for this one, and then we'll do Bob's part. We'll go back and forth through all the sections. So let's check it out. So this one is in D minor, right? So it starts off with Jerry just picking through D minor. This is kind of the pattern throughout the whole song that he's doing. It's not always verbatim, but kind of the main approach, right? So picking through that D minor like this. And then he does this descending thing going. And that's just going right down the scale like that. A very classical sounding thing. And one thing that he does though is he doesn't just play them all even. He plays the first one of each one, the kind of the line, louder. It makes a big difference. I think it's back into this and does it about 4 times or so before I start singing. So make sure you get that. It's a little detail, but makes a big difference of making that first one, bringing that line out, really kind of breathe some life into it, you know. So then he's going into the verse, but first let's check out Bob's part. So then with Bob's part, he is playing his D minor more up here, you know, typical kind of playing all these different little versions, and he's just kind of picking around the same way, and then sometimes he'll do these little harmonics. So it's the 7th fret, middle 2 strings, like that. You just have to, if you've never done it before, just get right above the fret, so don't get behind it like you normally do. Get right above it, ever so lightly touch the string. It actually helps too if you pick further back towards the bridge. Brings it out even more. And yeah, that's really all he does in the intro there. But let's give a listen to the verse, both parts, and then we'll do the same thing like a Jerry then Bob. So like I said before, Jerry's just doing that same roundabout picking pattern throughout. It starts on D minor again, then it goes to an F major 7. If you don't know what that is, it's just a fancy sounding chord to the name and the actual chord, but it's not really any harder to play than an F. Actually, it's a little easier because you've got an open string right there. So F major 7 to a B diminished 7, getting even fancier and taking it even further out there. So you got 3rd fret here, 1st fret, 3rd, and 2nd. Right? So the middle 4 strings. Then he's going to a B flat, right? So this chord right here in the 1st fret. Now a little side thing, a little pro tip, as they say, the young guys say, keep this finger down right here, right? So don't, if this is new to you, don't take your hand way off, this finger stays in the same spot between these two chords. So I'm just assuming, okay, this might be new for some people here, this chord, right? So keep that down. The second pro tip is this is a good thing too if it's new for you, to go back and forth and don't even play. Don't even use your right hand. Put your pick down, right? And just take the shape of this chord and go to the next one. And just go back and forth. So you're really focused on what your left hand fingers are doing. You know, you can do this while you're watching TV, while you're hanging out with someone else. You know, if you live with someone, hanging out at night, watching on TV, you can practice your guitar and it won't bother them, and you can get so much done. Make sure you're keeping that finger down. So that was the third pro tip, right? I guess throw them all out at once right now, right? So again, I digress, but that will really help get that kind of spot down, because I'm going to imagine that this whole tune, that's going to be the most troublesome spot for most people. So with that out of the way, you can apply that to the rest of the tune. You can apply it to anything really, you know. You got B flat, then we're going to an A7, and then we're at the halfway point, brings it back to a D minor. Now it goes to an F, just a regular F, so you can bar down these two right here, or you can even just play the middle, these three right here, without the top string. To a C, and a lot of times he plays it with a G on top. You don't have to, but still just a C. It makes it a little more dramatic sounding. That higher up there, specific sound. And after the C, he's doing an A7, and it brings it back to the D minor. And now with Bob, he's doing the same overall stuff. He's picking kind of throughout, a slightly different kind of picking pattern. Now you just kind of, we're going up and down and doing the D minor, just like in the intro, up here, and an F major 7 up here. So really just by playing that different picking pattern and playing the voicings of the chords higher up, it blends together nicely. It's all you really need. And he's playing his B diminished 7 like this. And again, keep in mind that it could be different every time. You know, so this is just a general guide. You know, it's not an exact approach here. And then going to a B flat like this. And sometimes I hear this little spot right here. This little just gives it this really tension, just pulling off that 9th fret there. And then down to an A7 like this. Back to a D minor. Then we've got F, but this time just these 3 strings. And then sometimes he would throw on, he'd give a little movement. He'd throw this note up here, 8th fret. And then that would lead it into connecting that F to the C and playing the C like this. Classic Bob voicing here for a major chord. And then plays A7 like that, and still, instead of this one, same thing but without the top note, because you're keeping this going. This note here is gluing those 3 together. You got F, little movement on the F, C, A7, right? And then back, you know, to the D minor and stuff. And again, it's just a little bit of a guide, you know. So the only difference here too is the 4th time is you're going along, right? You're getting D minor, F, C, and then we're going A minor for Jerry, A7, D, so a little change there. And then with Bob, he's just doing it up here. A minor, A7, and then D, kind of like that, you know, just these 3 right here. And then it goes into the outro. So let's give that a listen and see what's going on there. So with Jerry, he's just playing a D, and it's a measure 2/4, just real quick. It's 2 beats to an A, and then hangs on that for 2 measures, to a G for 2 bars, to D. And then we've got the whole. Alright, does that. times. And then Bob, he's more just kind of up here. So that measure 2, that D's right here, to an A right here, to a G, again like this. I mean, again, we do so many ways, so many more variations. This kind of stuff, it's like Jerry's actually not improvising as much. He's laying it down because, again, he's focused on singing, and Bob has more freedom and flexibility to be improvising, and Jerry saves it off for when he solos, but then, of course, when it's like a Bob tune, it's the other way around, you know. Bob's focused on his chords, playing it a little more verbatim while he's singing, and Jerry's got the freedom to be playing kind of lots of variations all over the place, you know. So he's playing that G. So again, he's got D, A, and G up here. It's like this. Back to a D. And over the that little melody part, he's just playing G to D like this. And, you know, can vary up and things like that. And then in that Reckoning version, in most versions, they just kind of slow it down and end it. But for my backing track that I've made for this, I jammed that out much longer. So for the solo there, you can, of course, take this whole idea and just try it out. Different places, right? And then it's all around D major scale. So anything D major, pentatonic, all that stuff, it's just, you know, between G and D, and just use your ear and play around the scale. So often it would be a Mixolydian sound with dead jams like this, but this one is actually a major sound. Now with the solo during the verse part, let's give a listen to me playing over that, and I'll show you what's going on. But listen to see if there's one thing, one element you can hear that I'm doing. I want you to really pay attention to it to see what am I focusing on. So this is now in D minor, right? So you got that kind of change of the D minor here and then the D major at the end. So you got the whole D major scale, D minor scale, right? He's using, and then he's outlining the chords a lot, but he's playing the melody a lot, especially to start off, and then he starts to get away from it as he's going. But I want to just show you the melody kind of verbatim, or it's hard to play it verbatim, he's always singing around, but kind of the core of the melody. I'll tab it out too. It's all right here. And over B flat, it's just a bunch of space and resting. Alright, and then space at the end too. So I'll play one more time. We got. Little space. Right, not the exact timing there, I was a little off, but you get the idea. If you can get that down, get it in your fingers, get it in your ears, then that will be a good foundation for your solo over that section. And it may be confusing with all those different crazy chords, but you don't need to be playing along with that stuff. That you know, I can make a whole nother video to do a real deep dive into the solo approaches for that and the outro, but especially that there with all the diminished chord and the A7 chord and all that stuff, different stuff going on. But all you really need is that verse melody that'll really get you through it. Just play that, or just revolve around there at the very least, and that's really all you need. So hopefully that helps getting the overall approach, learning the chords of the tune, some practice techniques there, the vocal melody, and again, I got the backing tracks. So if you want to try this stuff out yourself, just head on over here, hit that link, and I'll see you in one of the next videos.